All right. Let's go ahead and start chatting about stuff. So first agenda item is looking at action items from the last meeting, and at least it doesn't look like there was any written down. So I'm gonna claim full success on that one. Good work, everyone.
Yeah, I think there was
Um,
no real attendance last time.
all right, even better. Next item is my item, which is talking about reducing IaaS costs. So the uh, short version of that is there's a bunch of IaaS accounts that were being used for CFF projects that were previously owned by or paid for by Pivotal slash VMware slash Broadcom. Uh, but due to a set of circumstances, those accounts are now being transferred over to the CFF, uh, or I guess have currently are now under CFF accounts, though billing is still in the process of being transferred, last I heard. This is good because this should mean that it's much easier for non-Broadcom employees to get access to those accounts, and really uh they should have been in the CFF a long time ago anyway, but we're mostly just freeloading off of uh VMware's accounts, which was good for saving money on the CFF side. Now, Cappy and other RE projects have been in CFF managed accounts for a long time. So this doesn't directly affect that. But what that does mean is now there's a bunch of other accounts that are competing for the CFF IaaS operating budget. And at least last time I'd seen the numbers, the majority of the IaaS spend for the CFF as a whole were coming from either the CF deployment or from RE, basically. Um, which makes sense because uh, a lot of the CAPI pipelines were designed in uh, a period where there wasn't as much constraints on IaaS spend. So this is all pretty early. My guess is that there's going to be a more coordinated effort from the TOC and from the CFF Operations Council or whatever that group is called. Chris Clark, basically, to get an understanding with the new accounts of what our total spend is, what our budget is, what the difference between those are, and then how much we want to try to cut for across each of the working groups. We definitely don't have those numbers right now. But if there are opportunities that we can get started on earlier there for uh, cutting back on how much we're spending on IaaS resources, ideally without having any significant impact on the pipeline, then we can go ahead and start talking about or making those changes uh, with the hope that if we make some of those changes early, then that will reduce the amount that we're asked to do by the larger TOC and CFF initiatives or whatever. So I went ahead and I briefly looked through the GCP account, and there was some just like obvious waste there, like some orphaned VMs that were mostly just sitting there spending money, not accomplishing anything. I also reduced some machine types to cheaper machine types for some Bosch Lights, like the Bosch Light development environments and stuff like that. Um, but there may be some other similar low-hanging fruit that we can start to evaluate there. I guess if I bring up GCP console, I can look at where we are right now. So yeah, so after the round of cuts I had done, it looks like we're at about 300 a day. whereas previously we're up above 400 or high 300s. But there may be some additional opportunities there. I'm still haven't run any more complex queries on our actual billing here, but I had posted some potential options in the Cloud Foundry Slack. So, for instance, I know one potential thing, and I haven't actually looked at what the operating cost of ELSA is, but ELSA is like a persistent HA environment. So it might be worth considering whether the value we're getting from having a persistent HA environment is worth the cost that we're paying for it. So maybe we can DHA it and or de-persistent it. Uh, and I also noticed, I don't think we have anyone here who is on that team, but also it looks like Autoscaler team has some larger VMs, though not nearly as many as Cappy. Uh, so like if I look at the VMs that we have, probably not going to be able to see this. I guess these are E's, but yeah, I'll run a more robust report on what our current spend looks like and get back on that stuff. So if anyone has any ideas or proactive steps you want to take, we can chat about it some in Slack. But like I said, my guess is that we'll get told to do this at some point by the TOC in the next little bit once they have a sense of what the new numbers are. Any other thoughts or questions around that? I guess your other option is you can move to GitHub Actions because they're quote unquote free, but that sounds like a lot of work. I wouldn't want to do that, but you could do it.
Yeah, we also had this idea internally, but I think it would be a lot of effort to replace all the Concourse pipelines with GitHub Actions. Not sure if that's worth it.
Yeah. I think we would probably only do that if we didn't have other options available.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'm guessing this is something we'll continue to chat about, so think about it some in the background, and I'll probably come back and bother y'all once we get a better sense of what we're being asked to do. Seth, you want to talk about fog?
You muted. I don't think I don't think I put this one here. Although I'm happy to talk about fog.
No, that was me. We trying to find a replacement for the outdated fog libraries, and Stefan Merker mentioned that you have a roadmap in mind how we can get rid of fog for the Azure infrastructure.
Sorry, you said you have a roadmap?
No, you, Seth, you should do you have an
Oh,
idea how
yeah.
we can?
That's something I'm still working on. So I don't have a clear idea yet of how
Okay.
we can get rid of this. I still need to like review exactly all the calls we make and what that might look like. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's something I'm thinking about and
Okay.
would like to solve.
Because it currently would block the Ruby 3.4 update,
Yep.
which is
Yeah, another thing that's blocking the Ruby 3.4 update is the fact that we don't really have a way to test against Bob stores right now, the different providers. So it looks like to me the Ruby 3.4 update is, it's going to take a while.
Mhm.
Yeah. I suspect that several of the fog libraries are going to need updates. Yeah.
Yeah, we've tried to update the fog Azure libraries, the two gems that you need, and we applied your patches from your forks into the latest versions and somehow got it running, but it's yeah, of course, all very fragile, and we cannot maintain these forks forever. Okay, yeah. Now, how could we proceed with that?
It seems like the first option to consider would be just looking at what current usage is and dropping down and using the IaaS client libraries directly without the fog middleware.
Yes, okay. But this is, of course, some implementation effort. Yeah, that would then be a midterm solution.
I mean, this for the Azure, this is the client library, right? So, which is not supported. Or am I misunderstanding, Greg? I think this is the thing that
I thought there were like two of them, but maybe we got rid of
Yeah, there
because
are
there's like the
multiple.
Fog Azure one, right? Also, isn't there?
yeah. So
Oh, but
Yes.
this one is also not maintained.
yeah, this is the underlying client that fog Azure uses, and
I don't
that
know.
this
There are
is
any
not supported.
maintained forks of this thing? Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a bad situation.
Yeah.
You're anyone near a Microsoft office? Go knock on their door, ask them to maintain it.
I've tried emailing them and they didn't respond to my emails. So, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, my plan was, which got delayed, was to try to understand what exactly either extracting the calls, the code that we need from these, or what are the different calls and to different providers and the differences between them. But I just got waylaid by other priorities. So, yeah, if anyone has any thoughts in the meantime about how we can like do this with less effort, but let me know. But yeah, right now I'm not seeing any quick solutions beyond I mean what we're already doing, which is I guess we have our own fork of this now.
This doesn't directly help this, but I believe the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group maybe has an Azure account that they somehow scammed out of Linux Foundation a while ago. So maybe it's one of the other working groups. I can dig into it, but I think there's at least one Azure account floating around
Okay,
somewhere.
great.
So we might be able to borrow or rent some space on that.
Okay, this would help us for validating if we have an Azure account, but of course that would also mean a little bit more cost if we create another validation landscape in that account. And but okay, yeah, this could help. Yeah, but about the implementation, copying the relevant parts from fog into Cloud Controller, is that a good option?
I mean, I wouldn't say I don't know if it's a good option. Yeah, or you're like rewriting our own adapters or something. I'm not sure. It feels like our options are limited right now, so I'm not. Yeah, not sure what else we would do because I don't think anyone else is going to pick up the mantle of writing Bob store adapters.
And I mean, this fully blocks our Ruby updates, right? We cannot go to 3.3, right?
Well, 3.3 is there's like a bundler bug that what we can't upgrade to for that. Yeah, unfortunately they didn't like backport the fix for that to 3.3. Sorry, yeah, to the Ruby 3.3, which maybe we can ask them the bundler maintainers to do. But yeah, so we're blocked. We can't upgrade to Ruby 3.3. Ruby 3.2 is end of life, end of March 2026. Yeah, and I mean blocking upgrading to Ruby 3.3 may not be. I'm not even sure if this also might block Ruby 3.3. So I forget. There's been like some keyword argument changes that broke a lot of things. I forget that I was in Ruby 3.3 or 3.4.
Do we have written down anywhere what, or do we know what breaks on the Ruby 3.4 upgrade?
Right now, I ran cats with this local Bob store, and they pass units tests are passing. The big question is just the different Bob store providers, which tends to be what breaks.
Yeah,
when we
so they
upgrade
could
Ruby.
be broken, but we don't know for sure if they're broken and how.
Yeah. I mean, it's another issue. It doesn't seem like our unit tests really test all those paths. We could probably improve that if that's worth it while we're thinking of re-architecting how we adapt to different providers. You know, maybe we need to figure that out before we improve units there. But yeah. So I mean, do we even have a list of what providers we want to test against?
Will we certainly test against AWS and GCP?
Azure and
Azure would also be good. Yeah, well, and yeah, for the community, those would be the main three providers.
okay.
Cool.
And I guess we have Alyun
At
and
SAP, we have Ali, yes, but not in the community. And what did you say? OpenStack?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fog gems that we import. So
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think Cappy traditionally tested against those blob stores, at least as far as I remember. I do remember at one point we tested against NFS, but I don't recommend doing that anymore.
all right, well, if we just keep it to AWS, GCP, and Azure, that would help.
I mean, at SAP, we are supporting Ali Cloud, so we would test it on our end, I guess, somehow. But yeah, I guess Ali Cloud is not that special. Like, I think it's mostly like S3, as far as I know.
It'd be nice to have like a collaborative doc on like looking at the different fog or offshore provider differences. Right now, I don't know if I can create a Google Doc to share.
Yeah, we'll have to do it in the CFF account because Broadcom won't let you share stuff
Yeah.
publicly.
Okay, but I'll do that soon, and that way we can collaborate. You know, I mean, this has not been a priority of ours, but it would be good to solve sooner than later. At least can jot down ideas.
Maybe it'll just all work. Maybe we'll upgrade to Ruby versions and fog won't break.
Maybe. I mean, we still have to deal with this, the Azure storage client library is deprecated, I guess. Is that because that's a security concern? Has that come up in your security scans and
Well, yes,
that sort of thing? Yeah.
Our security advisors are complaining that we have years old libraries and they asked us to update, but yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's got to be a maintained fork or something, but you can look into it.
Yeah, good. But if there is one, but who is the maintainer? So could we rely on that? So yeah,
I mean, maybe that's a short-term solution, but definitely
be
nothing.
a short-term solution. Yeah. Um,
I mean, currently we're like operating off of Seth's fork, right?
yes, yes. We
Yeah,
have,
so there you go. Seth is a pretty trustworthy maintainer, I think.
it certainly is, yeah, for sure. But still, Fog Azure RM is stuck on a year-old version. We managed to update to the latest available released version, but that is also years old. And yeah, and if we now also have the Ruby 3.4 blocker, I mean, then the only midterm option is to get rid of Fog. Well, but of course, it's really hard to estimate how much effort that would be.
All right, well, it sounds like there's some more investigation needed on this one, so maybe we can reconvene once we have a more information on what's breaking and uh, if we have any options on the Azure side. Anything else we want to talk about Fog? All right. Next item is system CNB build packs.
Yeah. So there's this build pack PR that I think some folks on SAP put together. I'm not sure if if you all worked on it. We were interested in getting this merged in, and we're wondering what the state of it was. I saw some failing tests, which looked like I think it was just one or two. And I played around with this yesterday. And like the API seemed to be complete. Although I could not actually get a build working. I'm not sure if I was uploading the build pack, a CNB build pack in the wrong format or something. But yeah, I just wanted to know if you all had any context on this about the status of this or why it was dropped. Are there still things that need to be done?
So this is developed by a different team that I can tell you. So in the past, we had like at some point we put up those things in our backlog and then worked on those to review those PRs. But I'm not sure if there's something currently planned for this particular pull request. But I guess if you want to review it, go ahead. We will not stop you, I would say.
Okay, so I should probably reach out to P Busco, Pavel Busco, for more information.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a bunch of people, like often the whole team pairs together, but yeah.
Okay. Do you know what like
They
Slack
should be on.
channel they might hang out in? If any, on the open source Slack?
I can I can ask them and then they can ping you or so, something like that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Any other topics? All right. Cool. I guess I'll go ahead and add an action item here to look, oops, look into the Ruby log upgrade and see what breaks, and look or see if there are any Azure. Here, I'll put reputable as your client libraries we can use. So I can look into this one. Seth, can I give you this top one?
Yep.
Any other action items? All right, cool. I'll go ahead and call it then. Thanks everyone for attending the working group meeting, and I'll see you in a month.
Second,
Yeah.
one quick question. So, do SAP have any kind of plans for CNB to contribute to CLI, like anything like lifecycle flag or anything like that? There was like a PR last autumn that actually just updates API side and makes some CNB kind of available, but there are a couple of potentially missing pieces. So are you aware of any of these plans?
I think we need to sync up with the other folks who are working on it.
And what is the best way like to sync with them? I mean, are we planning to invite them to this work group call or like set up something separate?
I think we're gonna do that in Slack or on the GitHub PR for now.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Do we need any action item regarding to that?
I'll give you an action item, Al. Congratulations.
I guess they're not really aware that this round exists because it's like they're working like on different topics, and like I'm not really sure if they're that familiar with that setup. So I make them aware of the PR and that you're interested in, and yeah, I guess we'll take it from there.
I just want to make sure like there are no like plans because we might just do that, but it would be great just to coordinate and understand like if we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? All right, cool. See you around then. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.